Hey everyone, what's up? I thought I'd come on here and talk about something that's kind of a recommendation in case you guys may have heard about it, and I'm pretty sure you have. Pretty sure some of you may have heard about this. May, I said. May have heard about this. Some of you may have heard about this. That is, I can get the wires off here, just checking some of the plants out here in the backyard. We've had some strong wind, so some of the pots got knocked down, and thus the plants got knocked out of the pots as well, so yeah, I had to do a little bit of cleaning up around here. But yeah, the recommendation I want to come up with or tell you about here is called Archie Sonic Comic Online, or Archie Sonic Online, basically. And what Archie Sonic Online is primarily is it's a it's very much a fan-oriented web comic, but not just one web comic. No, it's a multitude of web comics. These web comics go from being originals to fan-based continuations of established material. For example, one of the biggest examples I could give, and someone did a review on it recently, was the recently released Archie Sonic the Hedgehog. It was the recently released Archie Sonic Online debut of their interpretation of the original Archie comic Sonic line, taking place immediately after issue 247. And you might say, well, 248 was basically the start of that crossover. Why would they want to redo that? And the truth is they're not. What I've noticed and what's been explained is this is, from what I could tell and from what I've heard, this is a fan continuation. This is a fan interpretation of what could have been if the behind-the-scenes lawsuits didn't take place. If the behind-the-scenes lawsuits never happened, then basically what they're coming up with as far as story and content go, as far as content for story goes, based off what they've heard from Ian Flynn himself and a variety of other sources, they are basically creating their own interpretation of what could have been if the behind-the-scenes lawsuits didn't cause the soft retcon and reboot that we got. If it wasn't, basically what they're doing is showing what they're interpreting. What I'm saying is, from what they have heard, they're interpreting what they believe could have been, like what would have been the end result, what they feel from the notes and stuff that Ian himself had come up with and had presented, what we could have possibly gotten if the crossover didn't interrupt the main story, and if it wasn't, like I said, for all the meddling behind the scenes with the lawsuits and stuff like that. And their interpretation of what 248 could have been, had things gone originally as Ian Flynn wanted, feels very much like something that you would see in the established Archie Sonic comic. It's something that you would actually see. you would actually look at this. Sorry about that. You would actually look at this as something almost being officially legit. And that's surprising. There's one guy that did a review. And he said that just by looking at the cover and looking at various panels throughout the online comic, it's almost identical to what you could have gotten from the official Archie comic. Or the official Archie Sonic comic. It feels identical, like if you just take out the online, which they put on the cover to kind of differentiate themselves from the Archie one, kind of tell you that, hey, this is a online continuation from a fan's perspective. If they didn't do that, it would almost, like I say, feel very identical. Sorry about that. Allergies. But like I said, it would feel almost very identical to what you read beforehand. Now, being a fan project, being an overall fan project, being created and done and collaborated by various fan writers and fan artists, there's going to be difference in quality, like maybe difference in what the characters are going to say and how the art style looks. Now let me say this. This is not the first time, nor is it the last. See, there's a similar project that was going on, and still kind of is going on, at FUS, called Fans United for Sad AM. Their project, consisting of various people like Laura Olsen Blue, as well as at times Jay Foxfire and many others. Their project consisted of doing a webcomic continuation of Sonic Sad AM and basically the Lost Season 3. That was their goal with the webcomic, and it still continues to this day when they get a chance, because they believe, from what they've heard, just like with this here, just like with the Sonic the Hedgehog comic online here, which is based off the pre-soft reboot situation on basically what could have been, how these people are going off the sources and, the sources and stuff provided by Ian Flynn and others, and all the notes and all that have been talked about by Ian and various other people involved. The same can be said for those that worked on the Sonic Sad AM Season 3 comic. They did the same thing. They went off what Ben Hurst, the late Ben Hurst, God rest his soul, who was the main head writer for Season 2, for majority of Season 2, and did a few episodes in Season 1. They went off his notes and everything that he had actually mentioned in various interviews, actually mentioned in an online chat with the fan base itself. And they went off, and by going off those notes, they decided to create this webcomic that you could also print out if you wanted to and staple together and have like some kind of comic. Official, well, not official, but kind of unofficial continuation of Sonic Sad AM. Anyway, point is, they did the same thing that the people here are doing with the Archie Sonic Online thing in the comics they're working on here. They're going off notes, they're going off sources, they're going off information that Ian Flynn and many that have worked on the comic provided to them, or provided over the past couple of years, if not past couple of months, past couple of years. They're going by all this information. And by going by some of this information, they're trying to sketch out their own continuation of what they believe would have been in the real continuation of the comic if we didn't have the crossover interrupt, if we didn't have the behind-the-scenes meddling and all that. They're basically coming up with an idea of what could have been. Now, they recently, like I said, released their interpretation of Sonic the Hedgehog issue 35. They recently released their interpretation of Sonic the Hedgehog issue 248, not 235. Well, I don't know what I was talking about there. I got distracted for a second there. I'm sorry. But they basically just released their interpretation of what 248 probably originally would have been. From the notes and the sources that they're taking, they're going by that, and I know I sound like I'm rambling and repeating myself, so I do apologize. But they basically used that to release this interpretation of 248. Again, what they feel 248 probably could have been if not for the crossover and the behind-the-scenes meddling. Now, with that said, they are, as far as I know, currently working on trying to get 249 out. 249, their interpretation of 249, is going to conclude what they believe was going to be the original conclusion of the Mecha Sally arc. That, or the Mecha Sally World Tour II Death Egg Mark II arc, whatever you want to call it. They are basically working currently on getting that out. But Archie Sonic Online, hold on for a sec. However, like I said, Archie Sonic Online is not just dedicated to doing a fan interpretation or fan continuation of the Archie Sonic comic, especially a continuation of the Mecha Sally arc, Mecha Sally World Tour II, Sonic Unleashed, Death Egg Mark II arc. It's not just, well, not Sonic Unleashed, but the World Tour II Death Egg Mark II arc. It's not just that. They're also doing webcomics based on Universe, based on Knuckles, and based on some original concepts like Mobius Legends. Mobius Legends, from what I can tell, consists of basically side stories featuring other characters, focusing on other characters. It's kind of like Sonic Universe, but they're like it's like an anthology series. You get like 3 stories in the issue. 3 stories. That's what you get. So far, they have 4 of these done. The first one featured the Zone Cops. Another one featured Amy Rose. These were the primary stories. You had other stories attached to it. Another one featured Rouge, Fiona, Scourge. And I think there's one more, or as well, I have to look at it. But basically, these stories are kind of anthology stories that do center around the main plot of the original Archie Sonic run during things like the Mecha Sally arc and such. So, that's what Mobius Legends is. There's another comic they're working on as well. Another comic which is based on Knuckles. But this one, if I can look it up real quickly, this one is called Endangered Species Remake. Now, what they're saying here is they have an area where it's going to be posted, but it's called, this is what they say about Knuckles Endangered Species Issue 1. This is what they say, and I quote, "Picking up where Sonic the Hedgehog 243 left off, Rad Red gets his long-awaited time in the spotlight in Endangered Species Part 2, in captivity. Oh, hold on. Let me reread that. And I quote, "Picking up where Sonic the Hedgehog 243 left off, Rad Red gets his long-awaited time in the spotlight in Endangered Species Part 2, in captivity." That's what it's called. It's called Endangered Species Part 2, in captivity. It says here that the Dark Egg Legion has prevailed over Team Fighters, and now Abalon's rescuers need rescuing. Fortunately, Knuckles, Julie Sue, and Saffron are up to the challenge. But as Knux battles a robotic duplicate of himself and his guilt over his actions Urajak, an even greater threat looms on the horizon. Featuring cover art from the Supreme Sonic Artist, or the superb Sonic Artist, Drawn Lava Lala, and pencils by Gigi D, the creator of the well-renowned Sonic fan comic The Murder of Me. Now, the script is done by the Shadow Interpreter and Tux Knux. Of course, art by Gigi D, Rabbit Noodles, Rigo34, Tim J. Campbell, Ibiterator, Ian PK, and Fritzy Beat. Of course, like I said, cover art by Draw Level La La, ES logo by Ian PK, art editor is Tim J. Campbell. Or TJ Campbell, sorry about that. Tim J. Campbell, I'm sorry. Had to cough there for a second. Like I said, there's allergies going on. But that is basically what the solicits is for Endangered Species, the remake. And what this is primarily, from what I understand, is they're remaking it the way they feel it should have been. Or what it could have been. Or maybe what it was originally going to be. We don't know. But that's basically the vibe I'm getting there from reading those solicits. Now, like I said, there are others. Sonic Universe Online, the online continuation of Sonic Universe, has yet to be created. They're still coming up with ideas for that. Because let's not forget, that too was incorporated into the Sonic Mega Man crossover, so they got to go with whatever ideas they could come up with. The original idea at the time, before the crossover interrupted things, was to do a Sonic Underground conclusion, to Sonic Underground. Have them reunited with the mom, Queen Alina, and go from there. We'll have to wait and see. And then, like I said, you got Mobius Legends, which has, not 4 issues, but 3 issues out right now. I think a 4th one's being worked on as we speak. It says here, and this is what it says in the information, Mobius Legends is a series of short test stories created by the ASO staff, the Archie Sonic Online staff. Test stories are standalone stories which are not meant to be continued. The sole purpose is to help the ASO staff develop a workflow for creating comics. We hope to phase out Mobius Legends so that we can dedicate our time to Sonic Universe and Sonic the Hedgehog. So basically these anthology stories, these side stories are just testing grounds testing grounds to see where they can go next with Sonic Underground and Sonic the Hedgehog. So, okay, I can accept that, but I think what's going to happen is Mobius Legends is going to become really popular, and fans are going to want to see more of it. And then, of course, like I said, you got Sonic the Hedgehog. The first one that's come out is 248. It says here that Sonic the Hedgehog Online is a fan-produced continuation of the original Archie Sonic continuity. And what that means, basically, what would have been, like I said, if not for the legal battle behind the scenes, the lawsuits, as well as the abrupt meddling of Archie, Sega, Capcom, and the crossover that, in my opinion, I still stick with this thought process, could have easily got its own miniseries, its own individual miniseries book by itself. That way you didn't have to you wouldn't have to interrupt the ongoing story in Sonic or in any of the Sonic books or the Mega Man book. You could have just kept the crossover contained within itself. But as we know, because of the lawsuits, they had to basically interpretate it into the story. Now, Sonic Universe has not gotten anything yet. It says that they have a section for it, and say it's the fan continuation of Sonic Universe, and it will be posted once it begins production. Which I'm assuming they're trying to figure out what stories to come up with. My thought is you go with what Ian Flynn originally wanted to do, and that's Sonic Underground, the continuation, the conclusion to that. You go with that, and then you come up with some unique stories. You come up with some stories that maybe just like, I would put it this way. You want to make your interpretation of Sonic Universe cool or different and feel like it's a continuation? Here's what you do. You create some stories that really surprise people. You do things that really surprise people. And I think with Sonic Universe, not only should you do the Sonic Underground thing, but I think in a sense, you should go and get a little weird, a little wacky, unpredictable. May sound crazy, but I think maybe you should do a story to where once you get this whole Sally thing, once you get the whole conclusion of Mecha Sally done, your continuation of it, have Sally or Bunny or Amy or Nicole, probably just the three I just mentioned, Sally, Sonic, and Amy, get this one-time power where they have the ability to become like goo-like creatures, liquid-like creatures, if you catch my drift. Kind of give them the ability to become like goo-like creatures, like have the ability of liquid and goo where they could just melt down into puddles, slid under cracks, shapeshift into different inanimate shapes and objects to kind of conceal themselves, maybe shapeshift into different characters. I think that's something like that would really surprise people as a different kind of Sonic Universe story you can go with. If you want a good example of something like that, check out Chaotic Lovers or Chaotic Lover 2. They have a fan story on fanfiction.net called The Elastic Mobians or something like that. And it features Sally and then later on Amy and Loop and all that getting these elastic powers where they're able to shapeshift themselves into different objects, disguise themselves as different people, different other characters. Heck, there's even moments where they could, like I said, not only shapeshift into different objects, but they can go into near liquefaction and slip through cracks and all that. And there's even points in the story where they can even become suits, like battle armor suits for other characters. So that would be a unique concept to use in a Sonic Universe story down the line once they get it up and running. Because I think if you're going to do a continuation of it, you should do it in a way that even people at Archie Comics, and maybe even Ian Flynn and Ken Penders, or whoever gets a look at this will be like, man, I wish I would have thought of that. That would have been great to see. But we'll have to wait and see there. But so far, they just have 4 stories they're working on. One, of course, Mobius Legends is a testing ground anthology series that they're probably not going to go too long with, but I got a feeling it's going to be popular enough to where it's going to go longer than usual. Endangered Species looks like it's going to be the next major one they're going to work on alongside their continuation of their continuation and conclusion to the Mecha Sally deal. So that's going to be unique to see. And then, of course, Sonic Universe, we don't know when that's coming, but I've kind of given some ideas what I think they could do. And then, of course, you also have a message board at the Sonic Online, Archie Sonic Online. You have a message board there where you can communicate with people. You can actually go to a forum. You can talk about comics and all that. They even have a section for IDW Sonic. They have a section for Archie Sonic. They have a section for the online comic, stuff like that. They have that kind of stuff. So they have all of that, which is pretty cool. They also, like I said, have Archie Sonic. They talk about different things like how things could have been. And like I said, they got one for IDW Sonic. So yeah, they even got that up. So yeah, it's Sonic Archie Online has a lot of stuff at its site, but its main purpose, from what I've seen, is to help promote their online continuation and takes on what could have been, if not for a lot of the meddling and all that from behind the scenes with the lawsuits, the meddling of Capcom and Sega saying, hey, let's do this crossover, interrupt the main comic, and then because of those lawsuits, integrate that crossover, in which could have been probably was going to be its own standalone crossover deal, integrated into the main comic because they had to basically find a way around the lawsuits, to continue the story on without any problem. I don't know. Now, this is what they say on the homepage when you look at it. It says, at the bottom, it says, "Welcome to Archie Sonic Online, a fan community dedicated to continuing the pre-reboot universe of the Sonic the Hedgehog comic that was lost due to some outside forces." That being, of course, the lawsuits and stuff like that. It says, Archie Sonic Online is a non-profit fan webcomic and is not associated with Archie Comics, Sega, Sonic Team, or any of the used Elements creators. We hope to keep the spirit of the original series. Utilizing a pool of talented artists and writers and fans like you. Keep in mind that this isn't done because any of us hate the reboot universe. Far from it. However, there are many stories left untold, and we want to tell them. And they even suggest if you want to go to the forums if you want to contribute and stuff. But yeah, overall, that's basically what it is. They're looking at the fact that there were stories left untold that originally were supposed to be told, stuff like that. And that's what they're dedicating the majority of the site to, with issues like, with their take on comics like Archie's Sonic the Hedgehog and Archie's Sonic Universe, and then their side projects like Endangered Species, the Knuckles comic they're doing, and their anthology series, which is a testing ground series for them, Mobius Legends. So, yeah, I will say this. I read 248, and I will, like I said earlier, and I'm staying true to what I said. Okay? I'm staying true to what I've said. It feels like it's an exact continuation of the original comic. It feels like if you take out the online portion of it, it feels like an established Archie Sonic book. It feels like it feels like it's an actual continuation of the Archie Sonic book, even though it's not. But here's the thing. You can't blame fans for feeling this way. You can't. You cannot blame fans for doing this. I mean, again, just like with Sonic Sat AM, there was so much unfinished business left out there that the fans at Fans United for Sat AM to this day, and as we speak, are continuing the long-lost Season 3 in webcomic form. And one of the last times I checked in with them, like with Laura Blue and a few others, they were trying to graduate that story from the webcomics into animated form. They were trying to evolve it out of the webcomic and into animated form. And there were some, apparently, animated, I can't say it for a fact, but apparently there was some animated testing and some finished animation that they showed off at various conventions to people like Ian Flynn and others. So, I don't know if they're still quietly working on that or what, but hopefully if they are, someday we might see the end result. But again, it's very similar to what's going on here with Archie Sonic Online. You see, this is something that the fans do, as they put it in on the front page. They do non-profit wise, because it's like Well, one, they know if they do it for profit, they're going to get in legal trouble. They know that. But if they do it for non-profit and just say, hey, we want to do it because we want to see this continue, we want to see these stories that were being talked about but never happened, finally happen, then they're going to do it. Then if they have to do it on their own, they're going to do it. Here's the thing. I don't know what it is when it comes to Sonic's adaptation into other kind of media like cartoons or even comics. But it seems no matter where he goes, he always ends up on a cliffhanger. He always ends up having some kind of cliffhanger left behind. Like, even with Sonic X, even though that last moment in Season 3 was supposed to be the end, it still felt like we were left on a cliffhanger. Like there was something more. But yet it was never capitalized on. So I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is with Sonic always having to go through this. And again, I'm not saying fans don't mind doing what they have to do to continue the comic or continue something like Sat AM or Sonic Underground and all that. I'm sure fans don't mind that because, as I said, if they have to be the ones to do it by their own hands, then they're going to do it because who else is going to do it? IDW is not going to do it. If they do, that would be a surprise. Heck, a lot of people would love to see IDW because IDW releases and publishes the volumes, the graphic novel volumes, based on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or which are, what I'm saying is IDW publishes the the volume collections of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Adventure comics when they were under the Archie Comic license. And there was one story everybody was looking forward to that was promoted at the end of the final part of the Moon Eyes saga, and that was the Forever War. But we didn't get that. Instead, we ended up getting some kind of origin story for the next couple of issues, and that was it, and then the comic was canned. And yet now, over the past several years, there has been rumblings of the fact that this still probably could happen if IDW, Mirage Studios, and those involved allow it to happen. Because this is a story that fans want to see made. And IDW has the rights, comic book rights, to do it. But will they? We don't know. It's the same with Sonic the Hedgehog. They have the rights now to where they could work out a deal with Sega and Archie to do the same thing with Sonic the Hedgehog comics. Do collection volumes, republished collection volumes of the Sonic the Hedgehog comic and go from there. Of going from like issue 0 possibly all the way up to issue 247 or even up to the last issue, which was 290, and heck, maybe even print the stories that never made print under the Archie license as a bonus. At least that would be some kind of satisfactory conclusion to the run, to the original run, if IDW does that. But again, like I said, I don't get it when it comes to Sonic. There's a lot of other shows and franchises, games, whatever, that get adapted, and they go through the same thing. But it seems that Sonic is the one that gets it the most. I don't know what it is. I mean, do they run out of ideas? You know, are the licensees like Archie or Dick Entertainment now under the license of DHX? You know, do they do things cross lines they're not supposed to cross? Also, when it comes to Sonic or any of the attached characters, who knows? All I can say is this. When and where. All I can say is this, is when and where Sonic finally gets a proper conclusion under the license of any kind of media conglomerate will be will be a great day for fans. Because it'll be like, thank God we get a proper conclusion. Because I could say this, again, like I said, I'll say this again, and I'm not going to back out on it. Fans don't mind doing this. Fans don't mind having to dirty their hands if they got to be the ones to continue the story, because of the fact that they find out from various sources there's more to the story than we will let on with. And, that's why Archie Sonic Online is what it is. That's why you have a group of fans dedicated to giving us what they believe originally, from what they've heard and stuff, what they had heard originally was going to be the original original conclusion to the Mecha Sally World Tour II Death Egg Mark II arc. But again, we never got it due to the fact that there was some, as they put it, outside forces, legal issues and all that prevented it. So, that's why you have the people like this here. That's why you have groups like FUS SatAM working to try to get the continuation of Season 3 going, or continued in webcomic form and possibly animated form. So, anyway, that's why you have them here. And hopefully when 249 comes out on the online side of things, hopefully it'll be worth the conclusion. It'll be worth all this, because you know what? I got a feeling Ian Flynn's looking at this, and he's probably, with all due respect, he's probably going like, damn, they did a lot better job than I would have. Because you know why? Because fans, when they hear about certain things happening, or what would have been, they take that to heart. And if they have to be the ones that continue it, they will. So, but anyway, that's all I'm going to say on it, folks. Let me know what you think down below. Comment if you like. But I just thought I'd come out here and tell you what Archie Sonic Online is about if you don't know about it already. I will provide a link down below so you can check it out, or you can Google it online. Check it out for yourself. And that's all I'm going to say, folks. So till next time, God bless. Take care. I am out. I am done. Peace out. God bless. Take care.